Next speaker would be squadron leader Stanley George.
You want to be a generalist in cybersecurity, CISSP certification is very good. Gives weightage to your resume again. If you want to join specific narrow areas of security, suppose you want to go into cloud security. So you can pick up a cloud service provider, be it Amazon, Google, and Microsoft are the three prominent ones. Go into the certifications of these cloud service providers and then get into the security certifications for them. So, and same goes with other domains. Suppose you want to be a network security engineer, so it would be like a CCNA or CCNE, CCIE. Then you want to go into specific tools, suppose access management, identity and access management. You go into specific tools like CyberArk, Oracle, access management tools. You get certified on that. So certifications, the bench bottom line is clear the certifications. And once you have the certifications, it has a two-pronged advantage. You get domain knowledge as well. It's well recognized. Some of the certifications are very hot in the market. CISSP is very sought after. As such, cybersecurity professionals are very few. There was a study conducted where Korea and Russia are the ones generating a lot of cybersecurity experts. So there's a lot of demand. It's an attrition-free market. If you have good weighted certifications available, so you would be sought after. So non-technical professionals, all the more, get domain knowledge as well and get visibility for your CVs and resumes to get shortlisted.
The cost of repetition for the audience, what Stanley George has just now said is that if you're a officer who is not from the technical arm or technical education, please do some domain specific certifications. One of them is CISSP and some others. May I also ask you, are there any business forums or industry forums where someone can join for guidance, mentorship, etc.?
Yeah. So again, at a practical level, I am part of a lot of cybersecurity forums, portals, WhatsApp groups, even in LinkedIn also. I find Captain Vipul, to be honest, such portals to be very fruitful, which you are driving because there is an interaction. Other portals, I don't find that very useful, primarily because there is a lot of bylaws created in such portals. You cannot share certain data, you cannot communicate on a one-to-one basis, you cannot share job opportunities sometimes, and whatnot. So I usually find these WhatsApp groups, portals quite useless. I would like to say practically such forums where you have interactions, there you can connect. Now you have a connect of almost 122 folks who are communicating with each other. You have the contact and you can drive a communication and take that communication to the next level with the networking lead that you have. So such forums and portals I have not found useful, so I'll not share. So one such such forums which I can think of is one such where you have interactive sessions being driven by a lead like this one, which is being led by Captain Vipul. Apart from this, I found that international forums are very useful. So if you clear like a cybersecurity certification, CISSP, you become part of the ISC Square organization, and then you get into the daily grind of getting trainings, which is a mandatory requirement. And in that bargain, you become part of various forums, bright talks, and educational portals. So you get a lot of knowledge. Other than this, other portals, if there are a lot of bylaws and a lot of driven by administrators, it just becomes one odd fortnightly you will get some PPTs or videos which are already available in the open source. So two things I find very useful is interactive forums like this one. Others are like international forums like ISC Square, where you can get the latest insight on cybersecurity. Not get networking leads. Networking leads you will get here, where you can track those leads. And international forum like OWASP, ISC Square. These are the few ones which are good.
Correct. Those who clear CISSP, etc., there are then follow-up forums wherein one can interact for networking and mentorship in terms of what is happening latest. Now, what are the industries which are actively looking for, or the businesses from cybersecurity expertise?
So actually, almost all industries are looking for cybersecurity professionals. There is actually a very stark requirement of cybersecurity professionals in the market. And there's a dearth of quality professionals as well. Professionals usually sometimes get into very narrow domains like Someone who's a penetration tester, he gets into penetration only. Network, is a network security professional. To have a generalist, it's very difficult to find, and that's why sometimes it's difficult to identify or get professionals for senior levels like CISO, CIO, and all. So almost all industries, the thumb rule being there is no business which can strive in an insecure environment. And one of the security parameter is the cybersecurity. So almost all industries are driving in having an intake of cybersecurity professionals. Other aspect is the regulatory portion. So as if you speak about India, or for that matter globally as well, the businesses which have to work in a particular geography and in a particular domain or profile, for example, a finance industry or a healthcare industry or a telecommunication industry, they have to abide by certain regulations. So the regulators of that area demand certain posture of cybersecurity to be maintained so that the citizens and the customer clientele are safe from any cybersecurity attacks. So that regulatory aspects also demands a lot of intake of cybersecurity professionals who drive that cybersecurity posture, maintain the cybersecurity compliance, periodically conduct cybersecurity audits, and over the recursive course of duration, have a cyber assurance given to the auditors. So, such profiles, as I mentioned, cyber compliance, cyber assurance, cyber audit, these are the profiles which are starting to be inducted primarily from a regulatory point of view. So, all in all business industries require cyber professionals. If you want to get into cyber security domain into organizations, I would say choose an organization which has a vast clientele scope so that you can learn the nuances of cybersecurity of various industries, healthcare industry, finance, banking, where privacy is very important, telecommunications, consumers, e-commerce. So join a bigger organization so you get to learn the nuances of all industries.
Awesome. So if I understand what you have just now summarized is that cybersecurity as a profession is now gaining more and more traction. The requirement is more. Almost every industry needs it. And now the regulator is also creating some space wherein they want cybersecurity professionals to ensure that people who are in those kind of, I mean, their data, their personal information, etc., and banking, etc., is safeguarded by cybersecurity professionals.
Correct.
Okay. So if this be the background, how much time do you think one should ideally devote when transitioning from uniform to corporate for preparing themselves for a cybersecurity role?
Ideally, someone who has a background of cybersecurity, he is a computer engineer or he's has a graduation in computer science or a master's in computer science background in programming. So they deal with the normal curriculum of computers, and adding security is an additional layer on it. If someone has a background of computers, 6 to 8 months would be sufficient to get hands-on in one particular area. Domain is so huge. Now I'm doing research on automation on cybersecurity. So it is never ending, and any area is it's true for any area in the current situation. Whichever area you pick up, it goes so deep. You peel all the layers. It's never ending. But to get a fair amount of insight from a for a professional who is already have a computers background may take around 6 to 8 months. You clear some basic certifications, CISSP. If you want to go for cloud security, clear one of them, and you will be managing projects. So clear PMP, and after that, you may be ready for the primary cybersecurity functionalities. If someone is from an outside domain, it may take a bit longer because it takes a while to get a grasp of cybersec tools. If he is going to penetration testing, the penetration testing tools take time to build to imbibe all the concepts. Same goes for there are roles which are like security architects. So you need to have the overall picture. It may take a bit longer, I would say a year or so. But yeah, that's the maximum thing. And then you learn from the profession. That is part of the game. So overall, that is the timeline.
So for people who already are from technical computers background, around 6 to 8 months. For those who are not, say around 1.5 years, would that be a fair estimation?
Definitely, yeah.
Okay. My question is to armed forces officers, what is the competition in the domain? Who are the civil professionals who compete, or I mean, which civil professionals would an armed forces officer have to compete to be into cybersecurity? What are their education, background, skills, and experiences?
Yeah, that's a very valid question. And we used to discuss this when we were transitioning from the forces to the corporate. What is the comp? Because we were in a cocoon, we were good in cybersecurity, but we were not sure what's the outside world looks like. Competition will be there, and but there is some light at the end of the tunnel. The point is, veterans are usually given preference, and primarily because of their disciplined approach, clear mindset, clear vision, good communications, and soft skills, integrity, honesty, on all this. So they get a lot of preference. So that beats a lot of competition because military veterans to some extent are sought after in the corporate. Other thing is in terms of specific technical competition, there is which is always there. Especially the stark difference that is found in military to corporate is usually the corporate professionals stick to one domain, whereas in the military, if you are in cybersecurity, you would be handling it end to end. You may be at one point of the day managing the actual physical layer of the network, which is the fiber optics or coaxial cables. And then at one point of the day, you may also be managing application security. You will be getting into web servers and driving the application security, managing the encryption, getting into the encryption units, going into the network of operating centers. So it gives a holistic picture of security. So that's one of the differences that there, and again, it beats the competition because the corporate professionals may not have a holistic picture of that end-to-end game, but they are good. It's not that you will always beat them. You have to be thorough in your curriculum. Someone who is network security engineer, he would have done this thousands of times. So it's like what Bruce Lee said. I don't fear a person who has practiced 1,000 kicks. I fear a person who has practiced one kick 1,000 times. So he is doing the same thing over and over again. And if the profile demands a network engineer, he can beat you in the skills, but definitely you have an advantage. And if you get into the core curriculum of the profile that you are joining, be it penetration testing, network security, cloud security, overall generic compliance, definitely the competition can be beaten with because of your background as well as your the training that you have gotten.
So, so if I understand you correctly, what you're saying is that armed forces officers have a more rounded and more holistic view of cybersecurity, right? From the basics of the physical aspects of cybersecurity to the operational and implementation aspect. Whereas people in the civil domain or the corporate domain are more focused on one particular aspect of cybersecurity. So that can act both as an advantage as well as a disadvantage, depending on the role one is applying for.
Exactly, correct.
So in that case, if correct me if I have understood you incorrectly, if I am wanting to transit into cybersecurity and I've already been doing some of that in the armed forces, then if I kind of focus on one or two domains and develop a more specialized edge, then my holistic experience in the armed forces and that particular focus can help me in transitioning smoother.
Yes, it will, and it also depends. So there are two things which you mentioned. You already have a background, a holistic background, then you develop into specific areas. I have had course mates, officers who have done that. It's just that you need to be a bit street smart. So suppose you have already have a background, an education background, then you have background of experience from the forces, a holistic experience. Then you need to choose the right areas. Suppose at this particular moment, I know that cloud security is in the market. It will be there. The market is transitioning towards cloud security. So there is no point getting into a legacy domain. For example, data warehouses, where the database security is so robust and so secure that you don't need anyone else. So you need to choose specific domains which are in the market, which has a future. How to go about it is analyzing the market as a trend, what's happening. If you go into network security, Again, cloud security comes into picture, then wireless security comes into picture. So you have to choose the right domains. And it always helps to be specialist in one or two domains and also have a generic holistic background as well. A generalist, as it is said in the cybersecurity parlance. So that's a very good approach that you have brought out, being generalist also and having a course niche specialized knowledge on certain areas as well. But you need to keep a check on the market. Where is it flowing? Which areas it's tapping into? Currently, infrastructure security is a lot of prominent. Web application firewalls, WAFs, applications guarding the browsers, cryptography. These are very in. Cloud security is very in. So tap in and then drive your career.
Awesome. So, I mean, for more specific things, I would be sharing your LinkedIn profile with our audience. They might connect with you and ask you more specific questions. My last question, and I don't intend to get personal here, but would you say that from a monetary point of view, cybersecurity, and from a growth point of view, cybersecurity is a rewarding career path?
Yeah, definitely. It is there. One of the more lucrative jobs that you will find, one of the more professionally satisfying jobs. More importantly, when I get into a job, I usually look at the profile rather than the money. First, money is important. And the important aspect of cybersecurity domain is that it is very close to being attrition free. There are very less slowdowns, recessions, which affect cybersecurity professionals. Because, as I said, no business can run on insecure environment. Regulators will not allow. Howsoever the slowdown may be, you have to ensure a certain posture of cybersecurity to drive your business. So that makes it a mandatory requirement. Yes, it is rewarding. It is one of the more better paid jobs in the industry. It is also a bit attrition free. And I'm not saying that tomorrow I may get laid off, but it is there. So that would be ironical. But yeah, it is a bit attrition free. And even if you are, one more aspect towards monetary part is it's one of those job areas in which if you are stagnant or if you want to get out of a particular role, even if the organization is not doing well, you need to part ways, you can get into a complementary aspect very quickly, which is not the case with very niche, narrow, and very myopic domains like you get into AI on a particular tool. But in cybersecurity, if you want to change in industries, you want to go from cyber compliance to cyber audits, it's very easy. From audits, you want to go to cloud security, it's very easy. Cloud security, you want to change the service provider, you want to go to AWS, from AWS to Azure, Google Cloud Platform, it's very easy. So you get a lot of prospects, and these prospects you gain a lot of domain knowledge, and as well as you gain a lot on the monetary front as well.
Thanks so much, Stanley. Your contribution have been very helpful. I'm sure a lot of officers will benefit from it. Thank you. Thank you for your time, Stanley.
You gotta focus on yourself, on your faith, on your dreams, on your mind, on your health, yeah. You gotta work, never tell, keep your head down, find